The Rangers need every single win from now until the trade deadline, and last night's one was an absolutely wacky one, with a Bruce Bochy ejection and, of course, some walk-off Wyatt Langford magic.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers a first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into the magical walk-off from Wyatt Langford, an absolutely bizarre ejection from Bruce Bochy, and even weirder baseball all night long, this episode of Locked On Rangers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Now, the Rangers took till the 10th inning, but they did finally get the win against the Chicago White Sox, 4-3 in the 10th inning. Chicago White Sox at 27-75, clearly by far the worst team in Major League Baseball. And after the Rangers lost 2 out of 3 of their first series after the All-Star break to a very, very talented Orioles squad, they basically left themselves with no margin from error for now until basically the end of the month. The Rangers have 9 more games. They've now played exactly 100 games on the season, 48 and 52, and they need every single last win from now until the trade deadline to prove to Chris Young and to ownership and to everyone that we're not sellers. We should not be selling at the trade deadline. We have the talent. We will perform to that talent level and chase down the 2 teams ahead of us in the AL West. That's what they're hoping. And last night they got that much closer with losses from the Astros and the Mariners to 2 inferior AL West teams. The Astros getting shut out by the A's in Oakland, and the Mariners blowing a game at home to the Angels that they were leading all the way up until the 8th inning. Just a fantastic sequence of events for the Rangers because they needed this win desperately, and it did not look like they were going to get it. Giving up a home run in the first inning to Tommy Pham, just an absolutely massive shot. And this lineup, I mean, my God, I don't think I've seen a more putrid lineup in my life outside of maybe the back end of the 2014 Rangers, but no, not even then. Not even some of the worst lineups there were this bad. Because you look all the way up and down the Chicago White Sox lineup, and if you're an OPS person, you see 2 hitters with an OPS north of 700. Just 2 above 700, which is the floor for what I think of as an everyday player, usually. This year's offense is down, so you give them a little bit of slack. But if you're more of a batting average type person, you look at their lineup, there's only 1 hitter with a batting average north of 240. And it's Tommy Pham. This is the team that you should beat. A team that you should beat 4 times in a row. At the very least 3 out of 4 times. This was a more difficult game because although the White Sox are quite terrible, Eric Fetty is a good pitcher. He's a sub-3 ERA. He probably should have been an All-Star this year. I really think that he was deserving, even though it's the White Sox and it's hard to give them 2 All-Stars. If they're going to get 2 All-Stars, it should have been Eric Fetty as the second one. And they face Garrett Crochet tonight, who is fantastic. Honestly, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Wasted on one of the worst teams. Probably going to be traded at the trade deadline. But this is a team that you should absolutely beat. And thankfully, their bullpen is about as bad as the Rangers was last year. A White Sox friend, former co-host of the Locked On Chicago White Sox podcast, tweeting at me last night when Kirby Yates gave up that go-ahead home run saying, "Don't worry, this game isn't over. Sorry about that, but don't worry, our bullpen sucks. It'll be fine." And you know what? It was fine. Thanks to some magic from Wyatt Langford. A walk-off RBI single which would have been a home run in 23 out of 30 ballparks, stung the absolute crap out of that baseball at 109 miles an hour off the bat. It was just a little bit higher of a launch angle. Might have been a walk-off grand slam, his second grand slam of the season. But alas, it was just a regular old walk-off. That's all the Rangers needed. That's all they wanted. They just needed to win and keep winning and keep winning. Wyatt Langford was the catalyst in this one, not only in the 10th inning, but also in the 9th inning, getting a double that would have been an easy single for just about everybody in Major League Baseball. But unless you're Wyatt Langford, who is in the 98th percentile of sprint speed in Major League Baseball, while also being that exceptionally strong, turns that single into a double, then takes third base because the third baseman was playing back a little bit too much, ends up scoring the game-tying run and driving in the game-winning run, which he wasn't even in the on-deck circle for when the winning run got to third base. The old double intentional walk, which I don't think I've ever seen before. In that 10th inning, the White Sox, Steven Wilson, got Marcus Semien to strike out swinging on a foul tip, attempted check swing on a sweeper, which, by the way, kind of a weird, the whole game was just incredibly weird. But not only that, but seeing one pitcher throw exclusively one pitch, it ended up biting him a little bit in Steven Wilson throwing 13 pitches. All 13 were sweepers. It's a darn good pitch, and it got Marcus Semien to strike out and got him a little flustered and confused, and he got to 2 strikes on Wyatt Langford. But going with intentionally walking Corey Seager with the game-winning run at third base makes sense. Getting to intentionally walk the should-have-been All-Star Josh Smith with a game-winning run at third base to set up the force out at any base makes sense. But also, when you have that kind of protection in the lineup, when you have Wyatt Langford as the protection in the lineup, maybe it doesn't make all that much sense. But because he was not even in the on-deck circle at the time that the winning run, after that Marcus Semien strikeout, he had to go throw on his gloves really quickly and call his timeout immediately because he wasn't ready. Because how could he be? Who would expect the double intentional walk? So he had to run out there, immediately call timeout, takes ball 1, swings through, what should have been ball 2, swings through what should have been ball 3. He's now in a 1-2 count, takes another pitch low out of the zone, another sweeper, and then gets a sweeper. All of these pitches low and away, mostly low, all of them below the strike zone. This last one, though, doesn't sweep quite enough, catches the inner lower corner of the plate, and he absolutely crushed that pitch. Dominated it. But he didn't feel slighted. Normally I would think most major league hitters, if they're getting 2 players ahead of them, walk to face them like, oh, this guy, he sucks so much, we're gonna load the bases for him. We don't think he can do anything. Now, it doesn't really matter in this situation when the game is tied in extra innings and it's the bottom of that extra inning. Only the 1 run really matters. He's not going to drive in 3 runs, and that could be so much worse than, a bloop single or whatever. But still, I would feel slighted if they walked 2 guys to get to me. But Wyatt Langford said, nope, I just kind of wasn't even thinking about that. Just go in there, have himself a great plate appearance, a great RBI hit, the first walk-off, hopefully of many in his career. Would have loved to have watched it be a walk-off grand slam, but alas, that was not the case. This has been a great couple of games for Wyatt Langford, who was in an extended slump, going 0 for 27 after Saturday's game. That was the kind of drought that he was in, and it was some bad plate appearances as well. It was a little worrying. He went into the break kind of cold, and then extended it the first couple of games. You thought, okay, maybe that couple of days off, the 4 days off in a row, maybe that would allow him to reset and rest a little bit. Then he comes out on Friday and Saturday and looks bad, but Sunday and Monday, a couple of multi-hit games, 4 for 9 so far in these last couple of games. Hopefully he's starting to turn it around a little bit. Everybody needs to turn it around a little bit. The Rangers got some offense from everywhere else in this lineup as well, outside of Corey Seager, surprisingly. We're going to talk about those 2 clutch plate appearances by the two two hitters that the Rangers need to turn it around the most, and a wacky ejection from Bruce Bochy, which might have done exactly what he wanted it to. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode of Locked On Rangers is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're even talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. If you want to check out some games on the West Coast, the Rangers head to Seattle late on in this season. You can go check out some games there. The Pacific Northwest is beautiful. I still have never been to T-Mobile Park. I really want to go check it out. Maybe I need to go check it out on Booking.com, see what kind of place I can stay at, because the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or on the Booking.com app. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The second half is officially underway, which means it is the perfect time to get in on the action all baseball season long. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. After that walk-off hit by Wyatt Langford, you want to go bet on him for AL Rookie of the Year? Well, he's the favorite right now at plus 190 ahead of the Yankees' rookie right-handed starter Luis Gil at plus 240. Colton Cowser of the Orioles is at plus 300. Fantastic season for Wyatt Langford. Or if you're thinking that the guy who the Rangers are going up against tonight, Garrett Crochet, if you think he's going to be the AL Cy Young favorite, right now he is at plus 2,700, the fifth best odds behind Tariq Skubal, Corbin Burns, Seth Lugo, and Logan Gilbert. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Now, it's no surprise that the Rangers offense has been struggling all season. That's not news, but getting some offense from two guys, actually four guys in this one, who really had great offensive days, five if you want to include Wyatt Langford, which I do. Five guys that the Rangers really need to have going in order to have this lineup be at full strength, at the full Death Star mode that the Rangers offense can be, but really has not been all season. They got a home run from Marcus Semien, his second in the last 7 games. And in the last 15 games, Marcus Semien has been back to the Marcus Semien that the Rangers know and love. He has been hitting 276 in those last 15 games, on base in the 380s, slugging 466, got 10 walks to 11 strikeouts. He is looking much more like the hitter in the last 7, hitting over 300, on base over 430, slugging 600 with a couple of homers in those last 7 games. This is the Marcus Semien the Rangers need desperately, because this offense goes as Marcus Semien goes. And they also have another incredibly streaky hitter. Not that Marcus is as streaky as this hitter, but getting a home run by Leody Taveras, and absolute no doubter, just crushed. Both these home runs absolutely crushed by Marcus, by Leody. Getting homers from your leadoff hitter and your number 9 hitter is a great way to get some offense, but also getting some clutch hits from the middle of your lineup. Getting a clutch walk from Nathaniel Lowe, who reached base 3 times in this one with a single and a pair of walks, including that incredible walk in the 9th inning, just battling off tough pitch after tough pitch against Brebbia to get to Jonah Heim, who would end up driving in the game-tying run after a 7-pitch at-bat. Got a fastball that caught enough of the plate, hit it hard right on the ground, but just up and through. A beautiful plate appearance by Jonah Heim. The Rangers need every single bat in this lineup to be hitting on all cylinders. Adolis Garcia is the only one who hasn't really had a prolonged stretch in the last, month and a half that makes you think, okay, maybe. I mean, Jonah Heim has had a stretch like that. Nathaniel Lowe has. Even Leody Taveras has had a stretch like that. Marcus Semien is currently on that stretch. Wyatt Langford has definitely had stretches like that. But they need every single bat in this lineup to come through in a big way. And last night, thankfully, they did. You know who else came through last night? Bruce Bochy. By came through, I mean came out of the dugout and argued an incredibly weird call that I don't think I've ever seen a manager ejected on. He had his 4th ejection of the season, which is tied for the second most in Major League Baseball, only behind Yankees manager Aaron Boone, who has been tossed 1 out of every 25 games in his career. And Boone just got his 5th ejection, I think Sunday. So Bruce is not that far behind. He is on pace to have his most ejections of his career so far. Maybe he'll be 1 below, but Bruce Bochy's not a guy who's ejected a whole lot. It's usually around 4 times a year, but this was his 4th ejection of the season, and he got ejected on a call that was pretty clearly a correct call. Luis Robert stole second base on a dropped foul tip, but the foul tip was dropped on the exchange, so it was really a foul tip, and then the base runner can steal. It was only dropped when Jonah Heim went to go make the exchange and throw him out. It's an incredibly difficult play for any catcher to make, and Bruce Bochy thought that the foul tip was not caught. It was not dropped on the exchange. I don't think he really knew exactly what was going on, but he knew his team needed some kind of spark, some kind of energy to just wake them up, because this game felt lifeless, hopeless, incredibly frustrating. And Bruce Bochy is one of, if not the greatest managers of all time. He has such a great finger on the pulse of this team, knowing when they need to be chewed out, when they need to be fired up, when they need to just have that calm, steady presence that's pretty much the same day in and day out. And when Bruce Bochy is, calling a team meeting or storming out of the dugout to go yell at an umpire about a marginal call, he knows what his team needs, and this ended up firing them up a little bit. I mean, Wyatt Langford even said as much in his post-game interview of, we kind of wanted to go out there and win one for Bochy. I was watching this, and I was confused as to why Bruce Bochy was even out there. And you could tell this is one of those ejections where it wasn't just an umpire being quick with the trigger. I mean, he really just kept going out there and kept extending the conversation. You knew that he wanted to get thrown out of this one. I mean, this offense has been so dead and sparkless as of late, and you lose this game to the White Sox. I hate to say it's like win or go home, but this almost feels like playoff baseball the Rangers are playing from now until the end of July. They cannot lose, especially not to the White Sox, especially in a game where Michael Lorenzen just was not sharp. This was an incredibly frustrating outing for Michael Lorenzen, despite only giving up 2 runs in 5 innings. He walked two not good hitters in a very not good lineup. Also gave up the solo shot to Tommy Pham, who is a half-decent baseball player. He's solid. He's not some scrub. He's one of the 2 decent hitters in this lineup. But still, getting 8 strikeouts, which was his season high, which is not a whole lot. AJ Morris said something on Twitter last night at Lone Star Ball that kind of made the connection in my mind of what this season is for Michael Lorenzen. He said it's like a 2017 Andrew Cashner season, which I thought was absolutely perfect. That's really exactly what it was. Cashner had a great year in 2017 that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. He had a 3.5 ERA, a 4.5 Baseball Reference WAR season, which was fantastic. His ERA plus and that Baseball Reference WAR were by far the best of his career, 4.6 BWAR and a 142 ERA plus. But he was striking out the fewest batters he had struck out in his entire career in terms of per 9 rating. Just 4.5 Ks per 9 and 3.5 walks per 9. Does that sound kind of similar to what Andrew Cashner is doing? Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that 2017 Rangers team in general. Just a weird kind of hodgepodge group of guys that didn't perform quite as well as you would have expected. Guys across the board not having the best seasons offensively, and the pitching being a weird group that you thought would be better than that, or wouldn't be better than that, but ended up being better than that. I mean, you had half a season of Cole Hamels, you had half a season of Yu Darvish, and the Rangers' best pitcher that year was Andrew Cashner. Their innings leader was Martin Perez, and the bullpen was just a weird group. That was the team that ended up playing at game 163 and ended up not being able to get over the line, 78 and 84. And that year, Jeff Bannister had 7 ejections because you could tell this team had more talent in there, but just didn't quite live up to it. A down year from Mike Napoli as the Rangers' everyday first baseman. A great year from Elvis Andrus. A great year from Joey Gallo. But outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of offense. They missed a lot of games of Adrian Beltre that year. Jonathan Lucroy was just terrible for some reason. And they didn't get that much out of Nomar Mazara or Rougned Odor either. It was just kind of a weird group that probably should have performed a little bit better, but just wasn't quite able to do it. That kind of feels a little bit similar to this group. Hopefully, this is the group that actually does live up to it, that does go on a streak. They're technically on a winning streak. 2 games is a winning streak. They are now 4 games behind in the AL West, thanks to the A's and the Angels doing the Rangers some solids. Hopefully, they can keep doing the Rangers solids and the Rangers can keep on winning and keep making up ground. But 4 games, that's within reach. That's absolutely within reach. And oh, by the way, speaking of Michael Lorenzen, I want to give him a shout out for that great defensive play, getting Luis Robert at home and a should have been wild pitch, a nearly wild pitch, a just mildly unruly pitch, but not only making that catch, Jonah Heim making a great play to block the ball in the dirt and then make the throw to home plate. Lorenzen catches the ball and then blocks the plate. Otherwise, it would have been, I don't know if it would be called catcher's interference, but or whatever that rule is that Jonah Heim was called for against those same White Sox last year with the replay review. But blocking home plate, because Luis Robert is so fast, I was so sure that he was going to score on that play. Ended up not being the case, but it was a matter of walking a tightrope with Michael Lorenzen all year long. Allowing this many base runners, not getting that much swing and miss. I mean, this game he got some swing and miss. Still not all that much. I mean, his expected ERA is at 4.75. His actual ERA is at 3.5. His chase percentage, his whiff rate, strikeout rate, walk rate, extension, all of those in the bottom quarter of baseball. But still, he is finding ways to get out, finding ways to get things done. I don't know how sustainable this is going to be. I don't know if he's going to be the one that ends up in the pen when Tyler Mahle comes back at some point, hopefully in the near future. I'll talk more about that timeline in the 3rd segment, but he did the job enough in this one. And this bullpen is the ones who really did the job, because despite their closer giving up the first home run he's given up all season long, this team was able to pick him up and might just be in a spot to start going on a run and hope for a playoff shot. We're talking about that and when Tyler Mahle is going to be back right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. This show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. Let's look at today's board. You got over under half a total base for Corey Seager. I feel like that's pretty easy over. Then if you want to look at Corey Seager, let's see. Wait, no, there we go. John Gray, plus or minus 15.5 hits, over or under 15.5 pitching outs. I think we go over. I'm feeling bullish on John Gray against this terrible lineup. Then we go number 4, Josh Smith, more or less than 1.5 hitter strikeouts. Let's go less. And then more or less Justin Foscue total bases on 0.5. Let's go more than that. That's easy. It's just that Easy. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks. As little as 4 correct picks, you turn $10 into $1,000. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Let's go to LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, the Rangers have been lucky in that Kirby Yates has been pretty much the best closer in baseball all season long. And he's only been saddled with one loss, which was a loss where he allowed one unearned run in a tie game in the 9th inning back on June 18th against the Mets. A catcher's interference allowed the walk that he allowed to get to second base, and then an RBI double from Pete Alonso resulted in the only loss that Kirby Yates has taken all season long. And he came into this one without allowing a home run to any batter all season long. And what does he do but allow a home run to Paul DeJong, who does have quite a few home runs this year. This was his 17th home run of the season. Not a total slouch, I should say. Not a great hitter, but not a total slouch. But gives up the go-ahead home run in the 9th inning despite getting a couple of strikeouts, raises the ERA all the way up to a terrible 124, but the rest of this Rangers bullpen picked him up. The offense picked him up in a big way when the Rangers absolutely desperately needed to, and the rest of this bullpen was absolutely fantastic, especially Jose Leclerc. I mean, the performance that Jose Leclerc put on, 2 perfect innings, 4 strikeouts, including striking out the side in order. Not just that, but the swings and misses he was getting. He was just flat out untouchable. He got 6 swings on his slider. 5 of those were swings and misses. He got 6 swings on his fastball. 3 of those were swings and misses. 9 total whiffs on 14 swings. Are you freaking kidding me? Jose Leclerc. He also had 2 called strikes. So literally half of his pitches were either called strikes or swings and misses. He had a 64% whiff rate. So if you were swinging at a pitch from Jose Leclerc last night, you were swinging and missing more than half the time on those swings. That is absolutely absurd of the level of swing and miss that Leclerc is bringing. He has been bringing it in a big way. The last month and a half, he has been fantastic. David Robertson coming in with a perfect shutout inning of work after giving up a 2-run bomb in the game before. Jonathan Hernandez coming on in the 10th inning, getting a couple of nasty strikeouts, getting a lot of chases out of the zone. Hernandez getting those White Sox hitters to expand the zone in a big, big way and take some bad swings. Also, seeing his velocity be up in this one. He averages 96.8 miles an hour on his sinker. They were averaging 97.8. The slider averages 87.6 miles an hour on the day, up 1.7 miles an hour. 4 swings, 4 misses on that slider. They did not touch it. 2 swings, 1 swing and miss on the sinker. So of the 6 swings that the White Sox hitters took against Jonathan Hernandez, 5 of them were swings and misses. And he only threw 9 pitches. The guy was absolutely incredible. And that reminds you of why the Rangers have given him so many chances when he has those massive walk days. The stuff is just so dang nasty that you see why the Rangers are big believers in John Hernandez. And also seeing him come out in the 10th inning and the Rangers were playing that wonderful Creed song Higher. I don't think it's any mistake of why these Rangers won last night. They should just play that song all the freaking time. Maybe they do, but I don't see people tweeting about them playing it all the time in the stadium like I did last night when Sean McFarland of the Dallas Morning News was tweeting about the Rangers playing that song in the 10th inning. This Rangers team is 5-1 in extra innings. They have been very, very good in those spots. Have a winning record in 1-run games, something they haven't done in forever. A large part of it is this bullpen. And if this offense can start to come back in some of these late games, especially against this White Sox team, because they're probably going to need to come back in this one unless John Gray throws an absolute gem or the Rangers somehow figure out Garrett Crochet. This is going to be a tough game for them tonight. They have not hit lefties well. This is one of the best lefties in baseball, but they need every single win. They need every single win from now until the end of July because they have put themselves in such a massive hole. Thankfully, the Blue Jays are terrible that the Rangers are going to see this weekend. And the Cardinals are okay. But this team has been great at home. Hopefully they can continue to be great at home and also great on the road, starting with this road trip at the end of July. But this is the kind of thing that can give this team a spark. I mean, they haven't had a walk-off win since that weird walk-off hit by pitch in the middle of May against the Angels. That's the type of thing that can spark this team. That's the type of thing that Bruce Bochy knew this team needed. Because they also need some reinforcements, which they are hopefully getting. They're getting some good updates from the pitchers and the hitters on the IL so far this week. Tyler Mahle and Cody Bradford will both be pitching in Frisco this week. Tonight, Cody Bradford will throw a couple innings for the Frisco Rough Riders. On Thursday, Tyler Mahle is going to start there. He was around that 50-pitch mark in his last outing. Still didn't go very deep into games, but still hasn't allowed to run any of his rehab outings. Hopefully, he can get closer to the 60 or 70 pitch mark. He doesn't have an actual, benchmark of how many pitches he's going to throw, but he's felt good for every single game out there, including his first rehab game. That's a great sign. Bradford going out there and pitching multiple innings, that's a great sign of adding him to this bullpen that has already been really freaking nasty. Jacob deGrom will throw a 40-pitch bullpen today. Hopefully, he will be incorporating all 4 of his pitches. He's already incorporated the fastball changeup. Last time out, added the slider. That was a big, good thing for the Rangers. So he'll throw 40 pitches today. He'll also throw another bullpen on Friday. And then he will probably face live hitters one time. We'll see if that's going to be, I think, either Sunday or Monday based on that trajectory of how often he's throwing. Probably more likely Monday. And then after that, he'll go to a rehab outing, which hopefully will be in Frisco. And hopefully I'll get to see Jacob deGrom throwing in a live baseball game and also doing it against double hitters, which will be very clearly overmatched. But I am very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting Jacob deGrom and Tyler Mahle and Cody Bradford back. And also got to see Evan Carter here in Frisco finally taking some BP soon. He was shagging balls on the field, feeling a little bit better. Hopefully we'll see him at some point in early August. That is my hope. He is behind where Josh Jung is. Josh Jung took BP on the field on Monday. He's going to face live pitching on Wednesday, and he could start his rehab assignment this weekend. That is the goal. That is the hope. That is the belief with Josh Jung. Hoping they can get both these guys back in this lineup, and maybe if Evan Carter's back and actually looking like himself and his back is back to being good as opposed to being bad, maybe that'll force some uncomfortable questions with Adolis Garcia, who has been in such a prolonged slump. Maybe that will force Adolis Garcia to step things up because, my job might be in jeopardy because I have been quite bad for basically 3 months. Yeah, basically 3 months. So, some great updates for the Rangers. They need every single win right now. Thankfully, getting that spark last night hopefully can carry them into crushing Garrett Crochet and finishing out this opportunity and turning this into a long win streak, because this team needs every single bit of good vibes, good mojo, good anything that they can get right now. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.